Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for those of you staying, and some of you are coming in. I really appreciate you being here. I don't think I've been in a place with so many Germans all speaking English all at the same time. But we can do it in German, we can do it in English, we can have conversations afterwards in German if you prefer. So I'm the Chief Technologist for AI at NetApp, and I'm very happy to be here today at the summit to talk about trust at scale. So a lot of it, when you're looking into AI, if you don't trust the data that you're feeding into your AI data pipeline, how can you trust the outcomes that you're generating with your AI workflow? And consequently, once you have successful AI factories, you have successful results coming out of your AI work streams, the value of your data is becoming increasingly important. So you want to make sure that the data is protected from upcoming future quantum threats. And I have some good news on that front around post-quantum cryptography that I want to share with you. So for the next 18 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through this topic here quite briefly. So as you're thinking about your data that you want to use in your AI data pipelines, there are a few key questions that I would like to pass on to you for you to take with you. First, the question is, do you know where your data is? And that includes your on-premises infrastructure, that includes your shadow IT, that includes cloud, that includes sovereign cloud, and neo clouds increasingly as well. So it's really critical to understand where all of your data is. And that includes how many copies of your data do you have. And as you are probably like most of us, we never throw anything away, right? And the same is true with data. We have very, very strict policies around the data that we retain, but we don't have very good policies of data that we get rid of. So we accumulate, we have all of this data. Then we have compliance rules around that. They are all like suspect to security breaches that we have to be concerned about. So it's really important to know where your data is. And of course, there are really great tools available to determine that. The second is what is in your data. So have you classified your data? Do you understand which data might contain personally identifiable information like social security numbers, tax IDs, Steuernummern, patient data about your medical data? That is also very critical. And the good news is, even if you're just on the beginning of your AI journey, you can start with locating your data and with classifying your data today. The tools exist today. You can run these today against your data so that you have a better understanding of your data. The next topic is structured or unstructured. Traditionally, when we talk about AI, the vast majority of our data is unstructured, but then we need to put a structured layer on top of that through vectorization and embeddings to make sense of this unstructured data, which could be video, audio, images, text, etc. But increasingly, we also need to look at data that is stored in more traditional structured data sources, like databases, to get this complete view of our environment. The next question is the data current? So think about a very simple example for an AI workflow where you build an AI chatbot. It's a customer service chatbot. That's the first line of defense, if you will, that first engagement with your clients. So if the data that your clients or that this chatbot is responding to about your data is outdated by a week, by a month, or even longer, well, you're not going to get good outcomes. So the chatbot responds to your customer that just signed up a week ago by saying, you're not a customer. I can't help you. That's not going to be good for your reputation and for your business. So, but if you're thinking about an environment where you have large amounts of data all over your data estate, how often do you check that data to see if anything has been updated? It can be very arduous, very expensive, and very performance inhibiting aspect of your infrastructure. And last but not least, is the data that you're feeding into your AI factories, is it appropriate and is it ethical? And I'm not just talking about the law, right? Obviously, there are rules and laws that you need to comply with, but also, is it appropriate and ethical in terms of public opinion, in terms of what your employees think your business should be doing and not be doing with data? So it's increasingly important to really get this deep understanding of your data and what you have in that data and what you're able and willing to do with that data. Let me give you an example. I live in the United States. I live in Colorado for the last 20 years now. And a big story there, and I don't know if it made it over here, was a US-based airline that decided we are going to do dynamic pricing powered by AI depending on what we know about you. So if we think you're willing to pay more, we're going to charge you more, which sounds like a great business idea. Their customers, not happy. Politicians, not happy. Is it illegal? No, not at all. It's dynamic pricing. I use the data that I know about you to determine how much we think we can squeeze out of you. So from a business model perspective, completely makes sense. From a reputation perspective, is it ethical? Is it appropriate? Yeah, it's a little bit of an open question. So what is your approach then in solving these questions, in getting into these challenges? So number one is thinking about the concept of a unified data model. We can really look at everything that you have, all of the data that you have, that it is visible in this unified data model, ideally very close to the infrastructure that actually powers all of that data. The second part is data classification. I already mentioned this, right? And I want to reinforce this. Start your data classification today. Don't wait until you're in the middle of your AI project. You can start with a data classification today. So I talked a little bit about putting structure over unstructured data, which is accomplished through vectorization and embeddings. What we have seen very often when customers really get serious about vectorization is that they get what is usually called a vector database bloat. So what happens is that your embeddings and the vector database can become multiple times as large as your actual data that you're feeding into it. So let's say you have a petabyte of data. You may find that the data that you have now vectorized is 10 petabytes or more of data. So number one, you need to be prepared for that. Your CFO needs to be prepared for spending that money. And this is where your money can go instead of going to data scientists and data engineers and software tools and acquiring data from other sources. So I would highly recommend to think about how can I make my vectorization more efficient? And thankfully, NetApp as a storage company, we have some good advice on that front. The next one is the currency of your data. So again, NetApp as a storage company, we are holding your data so we know when data has changed. So we can proactively move that notification into your AI data pipeline. Why is that relevant? Well, traditionally, what customers do is they have to walk the file system. They have to scan their data estate across cloud and on-premises, across shadow IT and sovereign clouds, and GPU clouds, neo clouds. So if you have to scan your data estate, that takes time, and that costs money, and that distracts from everything else that you're trying to accomplish. So by proactively feeding updated data into your data pipeline, you're much more efficient and you're much more current. You're essentially looking at a near real-time update of your data estate. So every time a customer record changes, you know that. So that customer chatbot at the end of the AI data pipeline can use current data to say, like, what do you mean you're unhappy with the performance of your internet? Because we have actually exceeded our performance targets. You have actually gotten better than what your contract is. And by the way, you just signed up yesterday. Maybe that doesn't make too much sense, but the currency of the data really needs to be feeding into that AI data pipeline so that you get better outcomes. And then last but not least, when it comes about ethics and appropriateness of data, data guardrails are absolutely critical. And data guardrails need to be implemented and enforced across the entirety of the data estate, across on-premises and cloud, to achieve end-to-end compliance with law and with your internal rules. So now, if you're doing this right, and you're feeding this trusted data into your AI data pipelines, data is more valuable to you than ever before. It's also more valuable to hackers than ever before, and state actors. You know, the session right before me, we were talking about German defense and military applications of AI. You know, that's a very, very deep topic, but think about the value of data in your business and how your competitors, perhaps in other countries, might benefit from having your customer database. Now, when it comes to quantum computing, today it's not a very big threat from a hacking perspective, aside from some potential, state actors that are gearing up. But if you think about the future, what we are seeing as an increasing threat is that hackers can harvest data, exfiltrate and store data today to then decrypt a few years from now when they have access to quantum computing-powered decryption mechanisms. So it's important to protect your data today. And that is a key aspect why NetApp provides the most secure storage on the planet for you. So storage is just one vector in your threat landscape, right? But storage is incredibly important because, well, that's what's holding your data. If you have a negative impact on your compute, you can spin up more compute. It's really not that big a deal. But if you lose your data, that's just really, really bad, right? So it's really important that at the core of your security strategy, you look at storage. And of course, as you're rolling out AI factories, the impact to your business becomes even more important. There are, of course, other vectors that you need to consider. How does your storage system and your entire infrastructure link into your key management environments? Does it work well with your monitoring software that you have? Does it comply with governmental standards, etc.? And you need to apply all of this across both on-premises and all of your cloud infrastructure that you're leveraging as well. So it's not enough to just do this in one part, you need to do this everywhere. And so a lot of the public cloud providers, including sovereign cloud providers, are already investigating how they're going to address the quantum threat to data and how to implement post-quantum cryptography. So I'm a visual learner, so I thought I would put together this very simple illustration. And forgive me because it is truly very simple. But it sounds like such a complicated concept that it really boils down to, if a hacker takes this encrypted data that you have in your data estate today, they encrypt it at some later point in time. What you want to get to, you want to move to a space where you encrypt your data today using post-quantum cryptography, so that you're moving that transition period forward, so that you become safe from quantum threats today. So I want to walk through this in a little bit more detail. So number one, so selfishly, just looking at our infrastructure. We're certified by the NSA. Whether you like the NSA or not, they know their stuff about cryptography because they're going to be one of the first people that are going to use quantum computing to decrypt your data. So it's kind of interesting to work with NSA to see, okay, what does the NSA require for companies that sell to the US government to keep that data that the US government holds secure and safe? And so the NSA has a certification for storing top secret data. And we're the only storage provider in the world that complies with those NSA standards. So that's a great proof point. The next one I want to talk about is policies. And this is relatively simple. A lot of vendors can do this, is detecting malicious file types. Like, okay, good, that's easy enough. But then, can you protect data? If something happens in your environment, you're taking your snapshots of your data, is it protected from harm? Is it protected from being encrypted by hackers? Is it protected from being deleted by admins and things like that? So that's very critical. The next one is ransomware protection that I want to talk about, which I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We provide AI-powered autonomous ransomware protection. And that is necessary because the bad actors are also using AI to more strongly attack your data. So ransomware attacks today are increasingly powered by AI, and that means that your ransomware protection must be powered by AI with models that are being updated on a regular basis to ensure that you understand what the most current attack angles are that hackers are using. Next up, multi-admin authentication. So this came up probably about 10 years or so. The customers were experiencing issues with admins going rogue. Maybe you let somebody go. Maybe you fired somebody, and they're angry at you, and they start just deleting and overwriting all of your data. Suddenly, everything is gone. Are they going to go to prison? Probably. Is that going to save your business? No. And so it's important now that you have multiple admins confirming that this critical action that is being taken is appropriate and allowed. And then finally, of course, you need end-to-end encryption, where you encrypt your data all the way from at rest, during transport, and during use against your entire data estate on premises and in the cloud. And so I talked a little bit about standards. So NIST or NIST in the US is another good example. And of course, there are great European institutions as well. But I want to broaden your aperture a little bit to also look at other organizations like NIST. So NIST has done a lot of work into understanding quantum computing and encryption and post-quantum cryptography to understand how can providers of technology, both on premises and in the cloud, effectively protect their customers' data from the quantum threat. And I know we're here at a pro-quantum conference, but we got to look at both sides. So algorithms have been approved last year in 2024 by NIST that provide post-quantum security for customers' data. And so vendors are now able to certify their infrastructure against these algorithms. And that is, again, absolutely critical, that this isn't like some home-baked kind of idea on, oh, yeah, this might work, but we don't know, we can't test it. Well, guess what? If you comply with these standards, you're going to be in a very safe place. And with that, I want to thank you very much. We have a booth in the expo area, just one level down. We are giving away today some very cool, sleek Ray-Ban AI Meta sunglasses. They look really, really cool. So come by the booth and put in your ticket. And we have all of our AI and quantum encryption experts at the booth as well. I will be around here for a few minutes also. I thank you again very, very much for being here with us today and being here at the summit. Thank you.